Welcome to the Deep Dive, the show where we take a stack of information and, well, extract the important bits so you don't have to. Today, we're diving into something pretty common, a challenge I think almost every developer runs into.
Hmm.
Wrangling command line arguments in Bash scripts. I mean, have you ever found yourself wrestling with a script, trying to make sense of all the different options, the arguments, feeling like you're fighting the script itself?
Oh, absolutely. It's a universal frustration, really. You've got tools like getopts and getopt. They
Yeah.
exist, sure,
Right.
but honestly, they often leave developers doing a lot of manual work. You end up writing these huge case statements. You're battling with validation logic. It's just so much boilerplate.
Yeah, exactly. Tedious, error-prone.
Right. And then maintaining those scripts, forget about it.
It feels like you spend more time just managing the argument parsing than, solving the actual problem you set out to solve. And that's really where our deep dive comes in today. We're going to focus on a solution that's designed to cut through all that complexity. It's called getoptlong.sh.
Yeah.
It's a tool inspired by some of the more advanced libraries you see in languages like Perl or Python.
Exactly. So our mission today is basically to unpack how getoptlong.sh tackles these pain points head on. We'll look at the powerful features it offers and really how it can significantly improve your Bash scripting life. By the end of this, you should have a really solid handle on some modern Bash tooling, ready to write, better scripts.
Okay, let's unpack this then. For those of us who've maybe gotten our hands dirty with Bash scripting, what are the real headaches? When you're trying to build something, robust with options using the old ways like getopts or getopt.
Oh, the list is, well, it's unfortunately quite long. With getopts, you immediately hit a wall, no support for long options.
Like verbose or help.
Exactly, things that are just standard everywhere else now. And it forces this fixed order between your options and your arguments. That can be super restrictive for users. They expect more flexibility.
Right.
Now, getopt, the external one, it does allow for mixed order, but then you're stuck manually parsing its output, which can awkward, frankly. The core problem is that even after these tools do their little bit, you, the developer, are still left with a ton of manual processing.
So it's not just the parsing itself, but like everything after that, making it usable, resilient.
Precisely. Neither getopts nor getopt natively handles, say, complex data types. Think arrays or hash-like arguments. So you find yourself writing the same case or statements over and over again for every single option. It's so repetitive. I remember burning like a whole afternoon once just trying to get optional arguments and arrays working correctly in this one script. It felt like I was fighting Bash itself.
Ugh. Been there?
And then maintenance. Imagine adding or removing an option later. You often have to track down multiple spots in the code to modify. Nightmare. And don't even get me started on validation logic. You write all of that yourself. Maybe one of the biggest pains, though, is just the manual work of creating and keeping help messages up to date. It's tedious, and you inevitably end up with inconsistencies.
Yeah, the help message never quite matches the actual options after a while.
Exactly. And you look at other languages, Perl, Python, Ruby, they've had these really sophisticated declarative option parsing libraries for ages. Bash has just kind of lacked a comparable standard solution until recently.
Okay, so there's a definite gap in Bash, but you're saying getoptlong.sh steps up. You mentioned it takes inspiration from Perl's getop.long. That makes me think, structured, powerful parsing. How much of that does it actually bring to Bash?
It brings quite a bit, actually, and that's what's so exciting. Getoptlong.sh is really a direct effort to fill that gap we just talked about. It fundamentally draws from Perl's getoptlong, which really was a pioneer. It introduced features like defining options declaratively and really strong support for data types beyond just simple strings.
Oh, okay.
And that whole philosophy was super influential. It trickled down into libraries like Python's argparse, Ruby's option parser. So getoptlong.sh is basically designed to bring that modern declarative approach, which works so well elsewhere, right into Bash scripting.
Right. This is where it gets really interesting for me. How does it actually work in a script? Can you give us some of those aha moments? Make it click.
Yeah, let's look at an example from the source material. There's this script, repeat.sh. Simple name, but it shows off a lot. Right away, it demonstrates how getoptlong.sh handles integer validation for, like, a count option. You just use I right in the definition. Simple. It smoothly handles floating point arrays too, with sleep at F. So you can give it a list of decimal numbers, maybe for sleep intervals between repetitions.
Okay, arrays of floats. That's pretty advanced for Bash parsing.
It is. And you can define optional arguments like paragraph, which gives users flexibility. They don't have to provide it.
So it's not just parsing, it's making scripts smarter. Validation, custom logic, Callbacks.
Yes, the callback functions are fascinating. You can define an option like trace, right? And when that option is used, getoptlong.sh automatically runs a specific bash function you've defined.
Ah, so you can trigger custom code without cluttering the main loop.
Exactly. It supports hash options too, like message%. That lets you handle key value pair arguments, which is amazing for configuration. You can even validate inputs with regular expressions. Like message begin ensures the value starts with begin or end.
Wow, regex validation built in.
Yeah. The real aha moment here is realizing you're not just wrestling with basic text anymore. Getoptlong.sh treats your inputs like actual data structures. It validates them using sophisticated rules. That's a huge shift for Bash scripting.
That sounds like it covers, well, almost every common scenario I can think of.
It really does cover a lot of ground. To give you the broader picture, you get full GNU-style long options, help, verbose, all that. It supports short option bundling, so ABC works like ABC.
Standard stuff, but good to have.
Right. You get negative forms like no verbose to turn off a flag easily. Very convenient. Flexible option order is built in via its permute mode, so users can mix options and arguments freely, just like they expect from modern tools.
That's a good one. The fixed order in getopts is painful.
Totally. Then there's the rich data types. Flags, required args, optional args, and those arrays and hashes we mentioned. Built-in validation, integers, floats, regular expressions, callback functions for custom processing, and this unique pass-through feature.
Pass-through, what's that?
It lets you collect specific options and their values into a single array. Super useful if you're building something with subcommands, maybe.
Okay, I can see that.
And of course, the automatic help message generation for help N8 saves so much time and hassle. Plus, it supports multiple calls, which is how you'd handle parsing for subcommands within the same script.
Okay, that is a seriously comprehensive list. Impressive. But, how easy is it to actually use this? What does the code look like?
That's honestly one of the best parts. It's designed for efficiency. The simplest way, and the one they often recommend, is the one-liner form. So imagine you want a script, takes a verbose flag, maybe a file path, and a count with a default. You could define it with just 3 lines, basically. Something like verbose plus v enables verbose output, then maybe .file.f pass to process, and .count10.i, number of repetitions.
Okay, hold on. Verbose plus venable verbose output. Break that down for us. What's each piece doing?
Sure. Think of it like building blocks. Verbose, that's your option name. The long option, verbose. The plus right after it, that's the type EE. It tells getoptlong.sh, this is just a flag, on or off.
Got it. Plus a flag.
The V that follows the plus, that's the alias, the short option, -d, and then the string, in quotes, enable verbose output. That's simply the description that shows up automatically in the help message.
Ah, okay. Simple enough. Option name, type, alias, description. I see how the pieces fit.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned required arguments, validation.
Yeah.
How do those layer in using the other examples?
Great question. Look at file.f, path to process.file is the option name again. The call-in tells getoptlong.sh this argument is required. The user must provide a value.
Okay, colon means required.
And F is just the alias again, -f. Now for count10.i, number of repetitions, count is the option name. 10 sets the initial value, the default. If the user doesn't provide count, it'll be 10.
Default value, right?
The colon dot again means it's required, though with a default, it's sort of implicitly optional unless they overwrite it. And the I at the end, that's a validation rule. It specifically means ensure this is an integer.
And if it's not an integer?
The script exits automatically with a clear error message. You don't have to write that if check yourself.
Nice. That's really declarative.
Exactly. And you can layer more on. For arrays and hashes %, it automatically handles comma-separated values plus spaces and tabs by default. The modifiers, like auth and f, for callbacks, your function gets the option name and value. Super handy. Or for pass-through, which groups multiple options into one array for you. And yeah, validation failures just cause a clean exit with an error. Takes care of a lot of boilerplate checks. And that automatic help message. It even adds help in H for you by default and sorts everything alphabetically. It looks really professional with minimal effort.
Okay, this sounds incredibly powerful, really a big step up for Bash.
Yeah.
But how does it fit into the existing landscape? We mentioned getopts, there's also getoptions out there. How does getoptlong.sh actually stack up against those?
Right, that's a critical comparison to make. There are some key trade-offs. First off, shell compatibility, getopts, the built-in, and getoptions, a popular library, aim for POSIX compatibility. They work in more shells, like Dash, Ksh, etc.
Okay, wider compatibility.
Getoptlong.sh is specifically Bash only. It needs Bash features, especially associative arrays for things like the hash option.
Ah, so it leverages Bash features, but that limits portability.
Exactly. Long options, Getops doesn't do them at all. Getoptions and getoptlong.sh both support them fully. Data types are a huge differentiator. Getops and getoptions mostly give you backstrings. You do the conversion and validation. Getoptlong.sh, as we saw, has built-in support for arrays, hashes, integers, floats, much richer.
Right, the types and validation seem like a major advantage.
Definitely. Validation and Getops, none. Getoptions has some basic checks. Getoptlong.sh has the comprehensive stuff, including rejects, help generation, manual and painful in Getops, automatic in Getoptions, and getoptlong.sh. That pass-through feature for grouping arguments, that seems unique to getoptlong.sh. And finally, the configuration style. Getops is procedural, you loop and check. Getoptions and getoptlong.sh are declarative, you define the options up front.
That's a very clear breakdown. So connecting this back, it raises the big question, when do you choose which? Like, if you're a seasoned Bash user, maybe stuck in the Getops ways, is there any reason not to switch to getoptlong.sh?
It's a great question. You should definitely choose getoptlong.sh if you know your script will run in Bash, no question. It's ideal if you need those rich data types, arrays, hashes, if complex validation is important, if you value development speed. It really lets you leverage Bash's specific strengths for more elegant solutions.
Okay, so Bash environment getoptlong.sh is a strong contender.
Very strong. But if you absolutely need your script to be portable across different shells, maybe for wider distribution or system integration, or if you're working with an existing PS6 scripts and need strict compliance, or maybe prioritize absolute minimal dependencies and peak performance, then something like getoptions, which is PO6 compatible, might be the safer bet. It's about context.
Got it. Pick the right tool for the job, considering the environment. Makes sense. So wrapping this up then, what does this all mean for you, the listener, the learner, in your day-to-day scripting? What's the core takeaway here?
The core takeaway, getoptlong.sh really empowers you to build professional-grade command line tools right inside Bash, much more easily than before. It's a significant step up from the traditional ways. You get much better development efficiency, less code, more functionality, even those one-liners.
Right, less boilerplate.
Way less. You get enhanced usability for the people running your scripts, long options, auto-help, flexible order. Just feels more modern. And critically, your scripts become easier to maintain. The type safety, the built-in validation, the structured definitions, it all adds up.
So more robust, easier to build, easier to use, easier to maintain. Sounds like a win all around if you're in Bash.
Pretty much. Yes, it's Bash specific, but that's also its strength. It leans into Bash's capabilities to offer solutions that are more powerful than generic shell tools can manage.
That's fantastic. It really sounds like getoptlong.sh is built on a totally different foundation than, say, Getops. Which actually brings me to this surprising little fact our sources mentioned.
Yeah.
Apparently, getoptlong.sh uses the built-in Getops internally.
That's right. It's kind of ironic, isn't it?
It is. So it doesn't replace Getops entirely. It just builds this incredibly powerful, user-friendly layer on top of it, hiding all the complexity. You, the user, no longer have to fight with Getops directly.
Exactly. It abstracts away all the frustrating parts.
Well, we definitely encourage you, the listener, to consider getoptlong.sh for your next, maybe more complex Bash script project. It really seems like it could drastically improve the quality, the user experience, make your tools a lot nicer to use and maintain. You know, this deep dive really highlighted how a well-designed tool can just abstract away layers of complexity, letting you focus. Which leaves me with a final thought for you. How might this idea apply elsewhere in your work or your learning? What other behind-the-scenes tools or abstractions could maybe simplify your everyday challenges, letting you focus on the bigger picture instead of getting bogged down in those tedious details? Something to think about.